Are you a parent or a teacher? Then this video is for you. In this video, I'm going to be talking about individual education plans, also known as IEPs. So perhaps your child has a disability and they're attending public school and you're thinking about getting an IEP for your child, or they already have one and you're frustrated at the table. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the 8 components of what an IEP looks like so you can walk into your next meeting for your child or student like a pro. Hey, what's up? I'm April Rarig, your special education advocate, to make IEPs and 504 plans so much easier. If you're new here, go ahead and click on the subscribe button and follow us on Instagram at Rise Ed Advocacy. Here's what you need to know. In this video, I'm going to talk about what does an IEP look like. First, we're going to dive into IDEA law, and then we're going to take a look at inside the IEP for the 8 components or parts of the IEP. So that way you know what to ask for and how to get it, and you can rock your child's or student's next IEP meeting. Before we get into the secrets of what an IEP looks like, we first have to talk about IDEA law. So even if you aren't familiar with IDEA law, if you've been to an IEP meeting before, you've probably heard the terms LRE, FAPE, procedural safeguards, and even the word IEPs. So to get more information and to understand fully of your procedural safeguards so that you can rock your next meeting, make sure to check out our free guide, The 6 Pillars of IDEA Law. So what does an IEP look like? Now we're going to get into the 8 components of an IEP. As I go through each component, I'm also going to be telling you about the order or the sequence of when things are supposed to happen throughout the IEP meeting. Are you ready? Let's get into it. The first component of an IEP is called present levels of academic achievement and functional performance, also known as PLAAFP. So what you need to know about PLAAFP and what it looks like is going to be based on assessment results. What am I talking about? What it looks like is going to be all the updates of how your child or student is doing, whether that's from the current assessment that was done or how the child is doing from year to year based on each annual IEP, or if you have an amendment or an updated meeting, it's all the current things that are happening right now for your child or student. The second part of an IEP is called progress reports. Now, what are progress reports and what do they look like? Once your child or student qualifies for an IEP, you're supposed to be getting updates on their goals. When do you get the progress reports for these updates? You're actually supposed to be getting them every single reporting period. What does this look like? If your child gets a report card, they're supposed to be getting updates on every single one of their goals based on the progress report to determine if they're making meaningful progress or if they're not making meaningful progress. And this needs to be detailed and clear so everyone can understand on the team if the child is progressing appropriately. The third component of an IEP is called supplementary aids and services. What does this look like? Inside SAS is going to be accommodations, modifications, anything that is necessary for the child to access the curriculum. It also has to do with the instructional methodology and how and when the curriculum is going to be adapted for the child's unique learning needs. The fourth component of an IEP are annual goals and objectives. What do they look like and how do they need to be written? Well, they look like everything that you should be seeing in the present levels of academic achievement and functional performance. What am I trying to tell you? I'm trying to tell you inside of a goal, you should see where the child is right now. That would be the baselines, and then where they need to go in a year. And then you also need to see all the setups and the conditions that are necessary in order for the child to meet that goal. Goals can be academic, they can be functionally based, and all goals need to be based on a child's present levels of academic achievement and functional performance, and based on their unique learning needs. The fifth component of an IEP has to do with duration of services. So we've already started out by talking about crafting an IEP always based on assessment. That's the first order of sequence, or when an IEP is supposed to be held in what order. Then we get into drafting the goals. Then we get into services. So what do you want to look for on your child's or student's services? You want to look for the duration, the intensity, and the frequency of a service, meaning when is it going to start? Where is the service going to take place? Who is going to deliver the service? And what kind of instruction or methodology is necessary in order for the child to make progress and meet the written goals and objectives? The sixth component of an IEP has to do with testing adaptations. What does this look like? This looks like spelling out how, when, and what supports and services are needed for the child to make progress on state, local, or specific tests. So perhaps your child is supposed to take state testing. Is it going to be the regular test? Is it going to be modified? Is it going to be an alternate curriculum test? How is the child going to get that information and demonstrate their competency on the state or local tests? The seventh component, and often the final component of an IEP, has to do with participation in general education. What does this look like? This has to do, in a nutshell, with placement. So now you understand where your child is in terms of present levels. We've written the goals. We've talked about modified or adaptive curriculum, accommodations, modifications, testing, adaptations, services. Now we talk about where. Where is the child going to receive all these services in order for them to make progress on the goals that we've created? Notice that it's step 7 of the components of the IEP, meaning this needs to be done at the end after we've determined all the child's unique learning needs. So we also have to take into account what's called LRE, or least restrictive environment. Make sure to check out the link below to get all the information on LRE, FAPE, and everything else you need to know about IDEA law and the 6 pillars of IDEA. The final component of an IEP, or the 8th component, has to do with transition plans, also known as individual transition plans, or ITPs. Now, inside an ITP should be the means for the child in order to make progress in their adulthood, whether this means they go to college or they graduate from high school, or they're going to be in some other location or get supports and services through state or federal funding. This also means that for a transition plan, you don't have to wait to invite your child at the mandated age. You can invite your child at any time to their own IEP meeting. The earlier, the better. So now that we've talked about the 8 different components of an IEP, how can you advocate like a pro? To get all the information that you need, make sure to check out our do-it-yourself IEP workshops, where you get the tools and the strategies and the fillable templates so that you can advocate like a pro and you can navigate special education like an advocate. So now you know what an IEP looks like, but what about how do you get an IEP? And how do you get started? Make sure to check out our video, how to get the IEP testing started in just 5 easy steps so you can get your child or student the IEP that they deserve. So now you know what an IEP looks like, and we've talked about the 8 different components or parts of an IEP. Let me ask you this. What do you want to do about it in order to craft an IEP that's going to help your child or student thrive? Do you have a question about what IEPs look like or what an IEP needs to reflect? Make sure to put in the comments below your questions. Make sure to check out all the links in our Do-It-Yourself IEP Meetings workshop. And I can't wait to see you for our next video so you can rock your child's or student's next IEP.